time now for some business and finance news, and for that I'm joined on set by Charles Pellegrin. Charles, starting out with the arrest of the Samsung vice president over corruption accusations. How has the market reacted?
Well, the early morning arrest of Lee Jae-yong has made investors quite jittery. The Samsung boss is accused of seeking political favors by donating to charities run by President Park Geun-hye's confidant, while stock in Samsung Electronics fell as much as 1.6% at the open this Friday. It then closed, as you can see, down around 0.4%. Investors have been reacting to Lee Jae-yong's every move, and shares had actually jumped back in January after a court initially declined a warrant for his arrest. Well, in the short term, however, this won't affect Samsung's production. Samsung Electronics actually posted its best quarterly profits in more than 3 years last month. But in the long run, there could be a lot of reputational damage, as our correspondent Andrew Salmon explains.
There's a darker side to the company. It's an incredibly powerful business group. It's known for abusing its power, for being a corruptive force. And so I think this is the story that people around the world don't really know about Samsung. They just know the first story, the good products, the good marketing and so on. I think the risk for the group now is all this dirty laundry is going to be aired in the global media, and Samsung's reputation, its brand image, will suffer as a result. And that eventually, of course, will have an impact on the company and its bottom line.
Our South Korean correspondent Andrew Salmon reporting there. And Charles, what's been the impact on the wider Asian markets?
Well, Samsung is the largest group in South Korea, so let's have a look at how the Kospi index in Seoul closed. It closed down just underneath the flat line, 0.06%. Well, the other major Asian indices are in negative territory as well. This tracks losses seen in U.S. markets at the close on Thursday as well. You can see the Nikkei closing down 0.5% and the Shanghai Composite down 0.8%. And over in Europe, the main indices opened slightly lower after a strong rally at the start of the week. You can see the FTSE in London down 0.1%, the Paris CAC 40 down 0.1%, and the DAX in Frankfurt just changing the picture there, up 0.1%.
Okay, let's head to eastern France now, where the government is struggling to help keep one certain factory open.
Absolutely. The French Deputy Minister for Industry will be meeting with the boss of rail transport group Alstom this Friday to discuss a plan to save its Belfort factory. The government had pledged to pay for 50 new high-speed trains to be produced on-site, but now it will get the rail company SNCF to foot the bill. Diptyka Laurent has more.
Last year, workers from French industrial group Alstom went on strike after the company said it would have to close its site in Belfort in eastern France. 450 jobs were at stake, so the French government intervened and said it would foot the bill for the production of 15 new high-speed trains on site. But French law requires new contracts to be put to a public bidding process. To get around this, the government convinced reluctant rail carrier SNCF, which has an existing contract with Alstom, to pay for the 15 trains at a cost of 415 million euros. To sweeten the deal, the government promised SNCF a neat sum of 420 million euros in tax breaks, leaving them in surplus of 5 million euros.
This solution will allow the SNCF to reinvest these extra funds elsewhere and reinforce the competitiveness of our high-speed trains.
SNCF and Alstom are also negotiating 2 separate contracts for the production of high-speed trains. The first order of 15 trains is expected to be completed within 2 to 3 years.
Well, let's take you through some of the other business stories making headlines this Friday. Hanjin, one of the world's top 10 shipping companies, has been declared bankrupt by a South Korean court this Friday. The group had been negatively affected by years by the global economic downturn, which led to low freight rates and high debt levels. The company had been unprofitable for 4 of the last 5 years. And the Singaporean economy grew faster than initially thought in the final quarter of 2016. Greater growth in manufacturing has been bolstered by the electronics and biomedical sectors. Year on year, GDP rose 2.9% in the quarter that ended in December, up from a previous estimate of 1.8%. And French auto group PSA, which makes Peugeot and Citroën cars, has announced a 200 million euro investment program to modernize its production site in Sochaux in eastern France. The investment will include a new production line that can make steel and aluminium parts, and with a production capacity of 400,000 cars per year. The site could also include the production of Opel cars, if PSA's bid to buy the German brand from General Motors is successful.
And finally, Charles, a story very close, very dear to my heart, that's beer. A man is suing Walmart over their so-called craft beer brand.
Absolutely. That man's name is Matthew Adam of Ohio. He's filed a class action complaint alleging that Walmart used a, quote, fraudulent, unlawful, deceptive, and unfair course of conduct to market and sell its Trouble Brewing Beers brand as craft beers. These private label beers are actually made in a large industrial brewery in New York State. Adam is seeking compensation for what he called wholesale fiction, and explains that the world's largest company was leading consumers to buy these beers at inflated prices. So there you have it. Beware the wrath of the hipster.
Indeed. Charles Pellegrin, thank you very much for that business update.